In trying to drive forward a strategic initiative, it becomes really critical to have a process in place for doing that so that you can effectively move an initiative through a series of decision-making processes, collaborative checkpoints, research, needs identification. And so for the strategic initiatives that I've driven forward, I've as a baseline used this general process. It's much more cyclical than this appears to be, but it goes through several iterations, particularly in some of the earlier pieces. So one of the things I have found to be most critical in driving forward an initiative, particularly in higher education, is to do research. And I weave that into part of this idea analysis phase of the process. And in this idea analysis, there's points taken to identify what is the true vision of what we're trying to accomplish. What are the baseline goals that we're trying to achieve? If we were to stretch that a little bit, where would we try to go? What are the constraints that we're going to face? What are others doing so that we don't have to recreate the wheel and we can sort of jump ahead and think about how to do it better? What are those things? And what's the priority level in comparison to some of the other initiatives and projects that are currently going on? Determining if there needs to be a project charter. So are there pieces of trackable work here that don't have to necessarily be bundled into a larger project? Or is this something that needs to go through a more formalized project charter and project management sequence? From there, once you have a sense of that idea and where it's headed, I can't stress enough the collaborative nature of that element of the process because it's so critical to get the right minds in the room even at that early stage. But particularly when you move into this design phase, having the right people in the room to collaborate and share ideas from their given perspectives is very important. So this is where you'll identify the stakeholders involved in driving forward not only the baseline goals, but maybe some of the stretch goals of this initiative as well, and thinking about where in the processes that we currently have this strategic initiative will have impact. So what processes exist, what documents exist that will ultimately need to be rethought or redesigned as part of this phase. Then we go into the development, which is essentially, all right, we have a plan or we have pieces of a plan. We need to drive something forward. We need to produce something, and then we need to do our initial testing, check on it, you do some user experiences, and just really evaluate whether we're headed in the right direction. Based on this, we may circle back up here to design. We may circle back up here to idea analysis and then funnel back through the process. Ultimately, we'll head in a direction where we will need to share the story of the work that we're doing. So, not only what we're doing, but why we're doing it, what we're trying to achieve, and what the greater good is for our audience, for our stakeholders, for our customers, for our clients. What is that larger goal and larger initiative going to lead toward? That will also come along with some training of, okay, here are people who have been doing their work a certain way or who have been thinking about something a certain way, and we need to adjust and have them thinking about it in a bit different light. So we need to think about how to train to that and then be able to move forward toward adoption where we do some additional review. It doesn't stop there. We look at the continuous improvement process. How are we going to circle back on this initiative to see what the adoption process has been like and whether or not it has been successful, or if, hey, new ideas spring forward and we need to come back here to do more idea analysis. This is a general process that I find to be really helpful in working toward any sort of strategic change or driving forward a strategic project or initiative.